a trial run if the board did not approve them yet? How could the company go out and do the routes on these 8 out-of-district children if they haven't been approved? So basically, everything's already happening without the board's approval. So you need the paperwork to back it up so we can approve it, to cover up everything that was supposed to have not been done without our approval. So why did we wait the umpteenth hour, the last hour, to go and put this together at the last minute?
We received the increased number of special ed out-of-district students only a short time ago.
What short time ago?
Less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks. So then in less than 2 weeks it was determined that the transportation company was unable to provide the service?
They were coming to us last year, given the number of out-of-district students that have been outplaced compared to prior years, and letting us know that they were up to limitations in terms of what they could and could not do.
Right. So if a company's have their limitations and they could not provide the service, and you stated that First Student was one of our vendors, then why did First Student bid this RFP or bid this particular contract if they were not able to do it, and they were the first people to bid it?
Because the number of out-of-district placements was exponentially growing since that.
What was the difference of the growth of when First Student had it?
It has been more than 100% of an increase.
Okay, so why did they withdraw their bid?
The contract, the bids were done in 2012, and it's a 4-year contract. So the new bids for the new contracts don't go out until October, November, with the new contract in place for the July 1 of next year.
Okay, so then Relia bidded this in 2012?
Correct.
For this job?
No, they bid for the overall scope of work that was put out in 2012.
So these 3 bids, the third bidder, this is bidding from 2012?
Those were the companies that bid on the contract, which is the last contract, which was in 2012.
So did you find out whether all of these people were still interested in it?
Yes.
Okay, and the only one interested in it was this company?
No, but this is the company that made the most economical sense, and based on the limited amount of needs that we had, made the best sense with this one.
Okay, I would need to know what other companies applied for the bid that were interested for this. And I did not know that First Student and ECS are the same company. They're 2 separate private companies, and I don't see why you're saying that they're the same company. Okay. Okay.
Any other comments, questions?
If I'm understanding correctly, we really have no choice because this has to be done before school?
The worst case scenario is if we do not approve it, I mean, we have a little bit in terms of flow, but we wouldn't be able to make it through the entire year.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
We wouldn't be able to make it through the entire year, so we would have to rearrange routes, but it would not get us through the entire year.
We'll start with here, make it through.
Correct.
Okay.
Ms. Posner.
Okay. I was listening, and you said that this has been put out there, and this goes back again to us getting the information in a timely manner with everything so that we can make an informed vote tonight. And this right here is a prime example of that again. I mean, this is like getting this in a board packet on a Friday, and now we're talking to have all these questions. If we received everything up front, the names of everything, all the information, just give that to us. We will review it, and then we can make a decision. Now we're sitting here at the 11th hour because things have already been put in place without the board. I know I didn't know, so I can speak for myself. Without the board having knowledge of these different, first 2 vendors, and now this here, and it deals with our children, and these are the children with special needs, the most vulnerable children that we have in our system. And we're supposed to just sit here and just say, okay, I'm sorry, I can't.
Dr. Rivera?
I'm sorry, I need to jump in here. We received the names of students that needed transportation to out-of-district placement within the last couple of weeks. What we're trying to do is be as efficient as possible to make sure that they can get transportation to get to their sites. If there's a question or concern about whether or not you can have two children from two different districts, we can look into that. I don't personally know or professionally know the specific laws around that, but my gut tells me that these companies have been transporting these students, and they would know, and they'd be aware, and they'd be expected to adhere to the laws. Now, when my business person tells me that we ran a process and we had vendors come in and we made a decision, a recommendation to bring to the board to try to be efficient before the start of the school year, and we've gone through some of those specifics, and I asked them about this, I'm satisfied with that. What you're asking for is such a level of detail that cuts at the crux of what sometimes causes anxiety, because we sit here and I'm not certain that some of the things we're talking about are within the purview of board detail, intimate detail, versus what you hire me as your CEO to do with my staff. You hire me as a manager of this organization to sort through a lot of details. We have staff who do that. We bring it back to the board, and we're asking you to make a decision so we can give 8 children transportation to where they need to be. And I'm telling you, I fundamentally believe we need to have a serious discussion about what is the role of the administration and the superintendent and his or her staff versus the role of the board, so we don't have to spend hours combing through endless detail. I'm sorry, but I have to say this.
Ms. Murray?
Dr. Rivera, you don't have to be sorry about that. This is a conversation, I believe, this is what we keep running into, okay? And as the superintendent, as we hired you, the question I would ask to my staff is, why did we only get these numbers 2 weeks? Now I have to come to the board at the last minute. That's the kind of thing that I'm thinking that we are needing to look at. I heard you say that you just got them 2 weeks ago, so you're dealing with the situations we handed to you. I'm going back and saying, why did we come up against that? Why are the numbers late? And something like that. And then it comes to us with urgency, because this is what happened. We didn't get the numbers until recently, for whatever reason, and I'm sure there's a reason that maybe you can't share. But the fact of it is that it happened, and now we're up against it. But to be given this with a possible action without having that kind of information, that's all you have to do is just share what has taken place. And then with all these questions, if we do have them, we'll ask them, and then we can move on and take a vote. But the fact of holding and coming up with something at the last minute, pushing you for a vote on the information reports, that's what causes you to pause and ask the questions. And that's as simple as that. But I've heard you say this before, and I know it is something that we still have to have a discussion on, because the fact of it is there is information that's needed. But I believe it can be given to the board members who need it, because all board members don't need it or want it. But it can be if we do this and we're upfront about what's actually going on and set up a procedure or place the meeting so that this can be shared. And that's really what I'm looking at. Sometimes you can just put it in writing and put it in the board packet. But I believe that's what we keep coming up against. Some board members need more detail than others. Some will not. They will not ask a question. They already have the answers when they come into this room. They don't know, and that's not what they're interested in. And that's okay. But there are 9 board members. And that's what we have to look at. All elected officials.
Mr. Chairman.